to red dot or not to red dot. I'm Mike with USCCA, and today I'm going to answer the question, should you buy a red dot for your gun? A lot of people ask this. This is probably one of the most common things I get asked is, do I need a red dot for my everyday carry or for even my range gun, or should I just run stock iron sights? Well, I'm going to run through kind of the pros and cons of each and let you guys know so you can have the most informed decision when deciding which optic to practice and run on your everyday carry. All right, so today I'm sitting here at Training Center LA and I have two Glock 19 pistols, essentially the same one. Look at the optics. The optics are different. This has a red dot RMR from Trijicon. This one has regular iron sights from Trijicon. Absolutely essential when you have a red dot sight that you also have raised iron sights. And the reason for that is if this optic goes out for whatever reason, say for maybe mud completely covering the sights or it shatters and you can't see through it at all, the raised iron sights are going to give you a backup. You also want to have raised iron sights. Besides, if the red dot goes out, you want the ability to practice your techniques of just having irons, because not every gun has red dots. In fact, in most people's arsenals, not all of their guns have red dots and some maybe do. So you have to go back and forth. But the ability to always go back to the original, the most common used guns have iron sights. So that's really a skill set you don't want to lose, whereas a red dot you can always add on to it. I'm not necessarily telling you the brands, but there's a few different types of red dots that you have options for. One of them is always on, meaning it just constantly burns and there's always a dot in there. Some of them are based on movement. The moment I pick it up, it triggers to make it go on. And there's also button turn on and off. So I press a button or I press two buttons and the red dot appears. Now, you can have any one of those, but which would you prefer for your everyday carry? Well, would it make sense to have buttons to turn on anytime you carry? Well, to me, that wouldn't make any sense, because in the event of having to draw, in the event of an emergency, having to switch something on or making sure something goes on or off, that's not something I want to be worrying about. I want something that's either always on or on based on movement. Now, if it's on based on movement, you have to understand that the battery will be drawing while it's on your everyday carry and moving, because that's what it's intended to do. So when the battery is on based on movement, something you have to understand is every time you put the gun in your waistband, it's going to be moving and the battery is going to be draining just a little bit. Now, these have long battery lives. It's not something I need to replace very frequently, but it's something I need to check every single time I pick up my gun. So every single time I take that gun and I put it in my waist, I do a press check, chamber, make sure I'm good to go, and then I look and I make sure that my red dot is always on, because if I forget that one day, that's going to be the day when it's not there for me. So something else that comes with having a red dot is a learning curve. There's a learning curve with any piece of gear that you have. Learning with a red dot is no different. There's always going to be some kind of learning curve. And the most common thing I hear from people when we're training is they put a new red dot on and they say things like, oh, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like this. And it's hard to find. The red dots are hard to find. And that's true. If you're looking for the red dot itself, it will be hard to find. But when you train for red dots, rather than focus on the red dot and finding the red dot, use your raised sights and train with your natural point of aim. So I train for my rear sights. I train to look at my rear sights, and that dot will always fall into place. Some people use the back plate, but if you have raised sights, you can look just as you would for your normal sights, and then your natural point of aim, your grip angle, will start to fall into a consistent draw and a consistent push out, and that red dot will always fall into alignment. So yes, there is a learning curve and something you have to practice. It took me, when I switched over to a red dot, probably, I want to say about 2015, 2016 timeframe was when I switched over to a red dot. That was when I started complaining. I'm like, I don't know if I really like this thing. But really what it was this unfamiliarity Plus, the first generation I had, I didn't have raised sights, so I was completely reliant on finding this dot in space. That's very challenging to do. So train it, train it, train it. But now back to iron sights. Do you need a red dot? That was the question from the start. Well, the answer for me is absolutely not. You don't need a red dot. A red dot can enhance your shooting. It will enhance your shooting if you train it, but do you need it? That's the big question. Well, it depends what your purpose is. If your purpose is concealed carry and your purpose is self-defense, and you suspect that most engagements based on data happen well within 10 yards, okay? If that is the case, well, point shooting, point of aim shooting, natural point of aim shooting, that is all easily done within 10 yards, okay? In fact, 10, 12 yards is kind of where you max out those distances. So if I have my iron sights and I'm point shooting, meaning I'm not even really utilizing those sights, then I don't need that red dot. I don't need that red dot. What very nice aftermarket Trijicon or other brands have for their iron sights now are so crisp that you can get very detailed accuracy with your iron sights. But are you even using your iron sights? If the engagement is 3 yards, 5 yards away and you're using speed, you're going as fast as you possibly can, you know, data suggests that most people aren't even looking at their sights. They're looking at the person, the engagement, the threat. That's why most rounds, when you see somebody draw, the rounds impact in those areas. It's because people's eyes are drawn to that. So my argument would be, do you need a red dot? Well, no. Will it enhance your shooting? Maybe it can, but it's based on your training with the weapon. It's not based on that red dot itself. It can make you a faster shooter by acquiring your sights faster, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be faster. I know plenty of people who use absolutely no red dots or tools whatsoever, and they're incredibly fast, probably faster than you on simple iron sights. So the question comes back to you now at home. Red dot or no red dot? That is the biggest question we hear. We would love to hear from you. In my opinion, I don't absolutely need a red dot, but I'll take it if I can have it because it's nice to have. I want to hear from you guys at home. Do you use a red dot or do you not use a red dot? Do you need it or do you not need it? Let us know. And also let us know what kind of red dot you guys use because we're curious on the brands. I know a lot of people using one brand versus another. We'd love to hear from you guys. And as always, continue training because that's how we move forward and that's how we progress.